Before we talk about being positive, let us practice it together right now, because positivity is not an idea you analyze. It is an experience you allow. So as you are listening, I invite you to pause just for a moment, soften your shoulders, take a gentle breath, and notice that you are here, you are breathing, and nothing needs to be fixed in this instant. To me, that is where real change always begins. Not with effort, not with discipline, but with a willingness to be present and kind to yourself. I've said this for many years, and I'll say it again because it matters so deeply. Healing does not begin with force. It begins with acceptance. And acceptance is the doorway through which all positive change enters. Let us begin with the most essential affirmation, the one that holds all the others inside it like seeds waiting to grow. I love and approve of myself completely. I want you to hear how gentle this is. It does not say, I will love myself when I improve. It does not say, I love myself because I am perfect. It simply says, right here, right now, I love and approve of myself. This sentence is not about ego. It is about safety. When you say these words, you are telling your inner child, the part of you that has been criticized, corrected, compared, or ignored, that it can finally rest. And when that part of you feels safe, the need for self-sabotage begins to dissolve. I have watched people change their entire lives, not by pushing themselves harder, but by ending the inner war. No negative pattern can remain when it is met with genuine self-love, because negativity feeds on rejection, not on compassion. Now let us gently move into the second affirmation, one that brings immediate calm to the nervous system. All is well in my world. This does not mean that nothing ever goes wrong. It means that you are choosing to trust the larger intelligence of life. So many of us live as if life is something we must constantly defend ourselves against. We brace, we worry, we imagine disasters before they arrive, and the body listens to that story. When you say, all is well in my world, you are not denying reality. You are reframing it. You are reminding yourself that you are not alone, that life is not out to punish you, and that there is an order beneath the chaos. Even when you do not understand what is happening, it is possible to know that you are being guided, and that knowing brings peace almost instantly. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the absence of constant fear. The third affirmation invites us into a very different relationship with abundance. I am a magnet for money and prosperity. Notice how this statement shifts the focus away from lack. Many people say they want prosperity, but inside they are repeating stories of scarcity, worry, and unworthiness. To me, money is not a moral issue. It is an energy issue. It responds to beliefs. When you affirm that you are a magnet, you are aligning yourself with receptivity instead of struggle. This does not mean money falls from the sky. It means you begin to notice opportunities you once ignored. You value your contributions differently. You stop pushing abundance away with guilt or fear. Life mirrors what you believe you are worthy of receiving. And when you see yourself as a source rather than a seeker, the flow begins to change naturally. Let us now speak directly to the body, because the body hears every word you say about it. The fourth affirmation is, My body is healthy and full of vital energy. Even if you are experiencing discomfort right now, this affirmation is still appropriate. You are not lying to your body. You are supporting it. The body responds to encouragement much more quickly than it responds to criticism. When you complain about your body, it tightens. When you bless it, it softens. I have seen again and again that the body knows how to heal itself when we stop attacking it. Speaking words of health is not about ignoring medical care. It is about partnering with it. Love and treatment work beautifully together. Your cells are listening, and they respond to kindness. The fifth affirmation brings us back into the present moment where all power lives. I easily release the past and live fully in the now. The past has a way of pretending it is still in charge, especially when it carries pain, regret, or resentment. But holding on to the past does not protect you. It exhausts you. When you release it, you do not lose anything valuable. You regain energy. You reclaim attention. You free yourself to experience today without old filters. To me, forgiveness is not something you do for others. It is something you do for your own peace. The moment you let go, your life force returns, and suddenly the present feels spacious again. Now, I want to talk to you about how to work with these affirmations in a way that is loving and effective, not rigid or mechanical. The best time to say them is in the morning, because the mind is open and receptive then, like fertile soil. But more important than timing is tone. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you adore. If resistance comes up, don't scold yourself. Just notice it. Resistance is simply fear asking for reassurance. When you repeat these affirmations gently, day after day, you are not trying to convince yourself. You are educating your subconscious. Repetition with kindness is what creates transformation. You may not believe every word at first, and that is perfectly okay. Belief is not required. Willingness is. Say the words anyway. Let them wash over you. Let them interrupt old patterns. Over time, you will notice subtle changes. You speak to yourself differently. You make choices that support you. You feel less urgency to prove yourself. This is how real healing looks. It is quiet, it is gradual, and it is deeply profound. So as we close this part together, I want you to remember this one simple truth. You are not here to fix yourself. You are here to love yourself into wholeness. These affirmations are not tools to make you someone else. They are reminders of who you already are. When you practice them daily, not as chores, but as acts of care, your life begins to respond. Because life always responds to love. Well, let's discuss this together, gently and honestly, the way two people would sit down and talk heart to heart, because this is not about judging yourself or correcting yourself. It's about becoming aware, and awareness is always the first doorway to freedom. I want you to know something right from the beginning. You are not wrong for the words you have been using. You learned them. You absorbed them. You practiced them without knowing their power. And now you are simply ready to learn something new. Let us begin with this idea that may sound simple, but it is profoundly life-changing when you truly hear it. Words are not just sounds. They are instructions. Every time you speak, even casually, even jokingly, you are sending a signal through your nervous system. The brain does not stop to analyze your tone the way an adult mind does. The brain listens like a child. It hears repetition. It hears certainty, and it builds reality from that. When you say, "This always goes wrong," or "That's just how life is," or "I'm terrible at this," your brain does not say, "Oh, she's just being dramatic." Your brain says, "Understood. This is the math." And it begins to organize perception, attention, and emotion around that instruction. You are teaching your brain how to see the world through the language you use. This is why I have always said that the most powerful conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. You can hear 100 encouraging voices outside, but the inner dialogue is the one that shapes your experience, and this is not mystical or abstract anymore. Today, science gives us language for what intuition has always known. The brain is not fixed. Your brain is plastic, responsive, and constantly learning. Neuroplasticity means that every thought you think, every phrase you repeat is either reinforcing an old pathway or gently laying down a new one. Imagine your brain like a landscape. Wherever you have walked often, there is a clear path. Wherever you have walked with emotion, there is a highway. If you have spent years criticizing yourself, worrying, expecting disappointment, your brain has built very efficient roads for those states. It is not personal. It is not a flaw. It is simply repetition. The brain loves efficiency. It will choose the familiar path, even if that path leads to pain, because familiarity feels safe. This is why negativity can feel so automatic. It is not because life is negative. It is because the brain has been trained that way. When you speak negatively, something interesting happens. There is often a brief sense of relief. Complaining feels like release. Pointing out what is wrong can feel like control. And the brain says, "Ah, this helped us survive before. Let's keep doing it." But what the brain does not calculate in that moment is the long-term cost. Over time, this habit trains the mind to scan for problems instead of possibilities. It sharpens the lens of lack. You begin to notice what is missing far more quickly than what is present. And slowly, quietly, joy becomes harder to access, not because it is gone, but because the pathways to it are underused. This is why I never shame people for negative thinking. Shame only adds another layer of stress. Instead, I invite understanding. When you realize that your brain has simply been practicing something, you also realize that practice can change. What has been learned can be relearned, and this is where language becomes one of the most loving tools you can use. When you begin to speak differently, even slightly differently, you interrupt the automatic loop. You may not feel it immediately. In fact, at first it may feel awkward or artificial. That is normal. New pathways are like trails through tall grass. They require gentle repetition. But every time you choose a kinder word, a more supportive phrase, you are sending a new instruction. You are saying, we are safe enough to see this differently. And the brain listens. It always listens. I want you to notice something important here. Positive language is not about pretending everything is wonderful. It is about choosing words that lead toward solutions instead of paralysis. There is a difference between saying, this is impossible, and saying, I'm learning how to handle this. One closes the door, the other keeps it open. The brain responds very differently to each. One activates threat circuits. The other activates curiosity and engagement. And this shift changes not only how you think, but how your body feels. Chronic negativity keeps the nervous system on alert. The body tightens. The breath becomes shallow. Hormones of stress circulate longer than they need to. Over time, this affects sleep, digestion, immunity, and mood. The body believes the words it hears, especially when they are repeated. When you soften your language, your body softens too. This is why people often feel calmer simply by changing the way they speak to themselves, even before external circumstances change. Now let us look gently at why negativity becomes such a strong habit. The brain is designed to protect. In early human history, noticing danger quickly was essential. That wiring still exists. But in modern life, the threats are rarely immediate or physical. Yet the brain reacts as if they are. When you constantly rehearse what might go wrong, the brain believes it is helping you prepare. But preparation without resolution becomes anxiety. Awareness without compassion becomes exhaustion. This is why the practice is not to suppress negative thoughts, but to respond to them differently. When a critical thought arises, you do not need to argue with it. You can simply say, I hear you, and I'm choosing a kinder perspective now. That single moment of choice is powerful. It tells your brain that there is another option. And over time, those moments accumulate. The old highway becomes less traveled. The new path becomes easier to access. I often remind people of this truth. Your brain believes what you say most often, not what you say once. This is why daily language matters. It is why affirmations, when used gently and consistently, are effective. Not because they are magic spells, but because they are repeated instructions. They shape perception. They shape expectation. They shape behavior. And eventually, they shape experience. So, when you speak kindly to yourself, when you describe your life with openness instead of finality, when you replace harsh judgments with curious observations, you are not being naive. You are being strategic. You are working with your biology, not against it. You are choosing to train your brain in a way that supports peace rather than constant vigilance. And I want to say this clearly because it matters. You are not responsible for the first thought that appears in your mind, but you are responsible for the story you continue to tell. That is where your power lives. Not in perfection, not in constant positivity, but in choice. Gentle, repeated choice. As you leave this reflection, I invite you to listen to your words over the next day, not with criticism, but with curiosity. Notice how often you speak in absolutes. Notice how often you predict difficulty before it arrives. And when you notice, simply soften. Choose a phrase that leaves room for life to surprise you, because life often does when we stop instructing it to disappoint us. You are always teaching your brain something. Today, you can begin teaching it safety, possibility, and trust. Have you ever noticed how easily words leave your mouth before you even realize what you're saying? Not because you mean harm, not because you want to complain, but because those words have been living inside you for a long time, repeating themselves quietly, automatically, faithfully. I want to begin here with curiosity instead of blame, because awareness is never meant to punish us. It is meant to free us. Most negativity is not chosen consciously. It is spoken on autopilot. It slips out when we are tired, when we are rushed, when we are afraid, when we feel powerless. And this is why I like the idea of what I call the word diet. Not a harsh diet, not deprivation, not control, but a gentle noticing, a willingness to pause and ask, is this word nourishing me or draining me? Because the moment you begin to notice your words, you begin to wake up inside your own life. When you limit unconscious negativity, something very interesting happens. You don't become quiet, you become present. You start hearing yourself. You start feeling the effect of your own language on your body, on your mood, on the space around you. And presence is power. Fewer negative words do not mean pretending everything is fine. They mean you are no longer leaking energy through habits you didn't even know you had. Less negativity means less emotional waste, less internal clutter, less heaviness carried from moment to moment. It is like cleaning a kitchen you use every day. You don't do it once and forget it. You keep it livable. You keep it clear because you live there. And that brings me to something very important that many people have never considered. Your words are your living environment. You are not just using language. You are living inside it. The phrases you repeat, the labels you use, the stories you tell about yourself and about life, this is the atmosphere you breathe all day long. Words are the emotional air you inhale. And just like physical air, it can be polluted or clean, nourishing or toxic. If you lived in a room filled with smoke, you would not blame your lungs for struggling. Yet many people live in a constant fog of harsh words and wonder why they feel exhausted, anxious, or hopeless. The body responds honestly to the environment it is placed in, and language is part of that environment. When you say, "This is killing me," or "I can't stand this," or "Life is so hard," your nervous system hears threat. It tightens, it braces, it prepares for impact. But when you choose words like, "This is challenging," and "I am learning," or "I can handle this step by step," something softens, the breath deepens, the shoulders drop a little. You are not lying to yourself. You are choosing a livable atmosphere. You are choosing air your spirit can breathe. This is why I speak of energy hygiene. We understand hygiene for the body. We shower, we wash our hands, we change clothes, not because we are dirty people, but because we live in the world. In the same way, The mind and emotions move through experiences all day long. They collect residue, stress, fear, other people's moods, old memories. The mind needs cleansing just as much as the body does. Speaking kindly, consciously, is one of the simplest and most effective ways to do that. Positive language is not a luxury, it is maintenance. It is daily care. It is how you keep your inner space clear enough to function, to feel, to heal. And please hear this clearly. Positive language does not mean constant cheerfulness. It means honesty without cruelty. It means truth without violence. It means choosing words that support life instead of attacking it. When you clean your energy with words, you are not denying pain. You are creating a safe space for it to move through you without becoming who you are. The words you choose determine whether pain becomes poison or becomes information. Now, let us widen the lens for a moment, because words do not stay contained within us. They travel, they vibrate, they are felt. Other people's brains respond to the tone, rhythm, and emotional charge of what you say, even before they process the meaning. One sentence can change the energy of an entire room. You have felt this. Someone walks in complaining, blaming, predicting disaster, and suddenly the air feels heavy. No one did anything wrong, yet everyone feels drained. On the other hand, someone speaks with calm clarity, with warmth, with grounded honesty, and the whole space lifts. Words are contagious. They spread states of being. This is not about responsibility in a heavy way. It is about awareness in a loving way. When you realize that your words influence not only your own nervous system, but also the emotional field around you, you begin to speak more consciously, not perfectly, consciously. You realize that every conversation is an opportunity to either recycle emotional waste or to offer emotional oxygen. And sometimes that oxygen is simply neutrality. Sometimes it is choosing not to repeat a complaint for the 10th time. Sometimes it is choosing silence. Silence can be very clean energy. I want you to notice how empowering this is. You do not have to wait for circumstances to change to feel better. You can change the quality of your inner and outer environment immediately by adjusting the words you live in. This is self-care in its most practical form. It costs nothing. It requires no permission. It can be practiced anywhere, and it builds momentum quietly, steadily. At first, you may catch yourself after the words are already spoken. That is fine. Awareness always comes after repetition. Then one day, you will catch yourself mid-sentence. And one day, before you speak at all. This is not control. This is consciousness. This is you becoming the observer and the chooser rather than the echo of old habits. And every time you choose again, even softly, you strengthen a new way of being. Remember this, you are not here to police yourself. You are here to care for yourself. The word diet is not about deprivation. It is about nourishment. Ask yourself, would I want to live inside these words all day? If the answer is no, choose again, gently, patiently, lovingly, because the life you experience tomorrow is being shaped by the words you are breathing today. Have you ever noticed how a single word can change the way your whole body feels? Not the situation itself, just the word you use to describe it. I want to play with that idea gently, because healing does not require force. It requires flexibility. This is why I love what I call the little word-switching game. It is not about pretending. It is not about being unreal. It is simply about choosing a word that leaves room for growth instead of closing the door. When you say, "I'm irritated," your body tightens. When you say, "I'm learning how to respond," something opens. The experience may be the same, but the future you are inviting is completely different. Words are not labels, they are directions. You do not have to deny fatigue to honor yourself. Saying "I'm exhausted" often comes with judgment, heaviness, and collapse. Saying "I need rest" carries permission, care, and wisdom. One sentence attacks you, the other supports you, and your nervous system knows the difference immediately. This is a gentle practice. No pressure, no perfection. Just noticing which words drain you and which ones give you space to breathe. You are not changing reality. You are changing your relationship with it. And that relationship determines how safely life moves through you. Something else begins to happen when you become conscious of your words. You start noticing how you speak about other people. This is very important. When we judge, criticize, or replay resentment in our language, we think we are describing someone else. But energetically, we are imprisoning ourselves. Judgment keeps the body tense. It keeps the heart guarded. It keeps the mind stuck in old stories. Every harsh word about another is a tightening inside your own system. On the other hand, when you choose kinder language, even silently, something loosens. Blessing instead of blaming does not excuse harmful behavior. It frees your energy from being tied to it. I often say that forgiveness begins in the mouth before it reaches the heart. When you speak gently about someone who hurt you, even before you fully feel it, you are opening a door, not for them, for you. You cannot heal while rehearsing resentment, but you can heal while practicing compassion, even imperfectly. This is not about being nice, it is about being free. The moment you stop feeding the story with charged words, the story begins to dissolve on its own. Now, let me reassure you of something very important. You will slip, you will say things you didn't mean, you will fall back into old phrases, and that does not mean you failed. Healing does not require harshness. It requires patience. I have always taught that loving yourself includes loving yourself when you are still learning. The moment you criticize yourself for doing it wrong, you recreate the very pattern you are trying to heal. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a child who is learning to walk with encouragement, with humor, with kindness. There is no prize for being perfect with your language. The reward is feeling safer inside yourself, and safety grows through gentleness, not discipline. Every time you notice and choose again, you are succeeding. Even awareness after the fact is awareness. Even a pause tomorrow is progress. Healing unfolds in spirals, not straight lines. I also want to introduce you to something many people overlook: positive silence. Sometimes the most loving word is no word at all. Silence chosen consciously is not avoidance, it is wisdom. When you feel the urge to complain, defend, or attack, silence can interrupt the pattern before it takes root. Silence with love is very different from silence with resentment. One is spacious, the other is tight. One heals, the other hides. When you choose silence as an act of care, you are still speaking. You are speaking peace. Silence can be a pause that allows your body to settle. It can be a moment where emotions move through without being turned into stories. It can be a boundary that protects your energy. And yes, silence is a form of language. It communicates safety when it comes from presence instead of withdrawal. You are allowed to choose not to add words to every moment. That choice alone can transform your inner world. Now, some people worry that speaking positively is dishonest, that it ignores reality. I want to be very clear about this. Conscious language is not denial, it is direction.